We've got really amazing team members. Couldn't ask for a better group of people. We really want to prioritize wellness at the center of our experience for folks. That's a critical component, especially in our industry. I mean, all industries, but the legal industry is notorious for creating toxic work cultures, idolizing being a workaholic as the pinnacle of our career. And we reject that fundamentally. And part of doing that is creating wellness at the center of the experience, as well as designing a business model that reinforces our culture. Because at the end of the day, the culture is going to respond to the strongest incentives. And those are most often centered in the business model. And so for folks that really want to have a culture that thrives on wellness, that really prioritizes people at the center of the experience, if you're not willing to rethink your business model and how it harmonizes with your culture, you're not going to be as successful as you need to be in that endeavor.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You just said a lot there.
Yeah.
You really did. I mean, that is so critical. And I know it's still Don's coming up with questions, but can we just unpack that a little bit?
Yep.
Sure.
Because you said something about a culture of idolizing being a workaholic and you rejecting that. That's critical. Because when you think about mental health.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you talk about that and why that's important? And just personally, I know that if you don't decompact that, it can almost take you over the edge.
Yeah.
So,
and in my case, it almost did take me over the edge. I never thought of myself as somebody who was going to struggle with my mental health. I mean, that was always for other people. And then not during the pandemic, but at the very tail end of it, everything caught up with me. The years of overworking and burning myself out, and I would say robbing from Peter to pay Paul, but it was really robbing from Peter and then robbing to Paul and then lying to them both. About how much I was working. The realization hit me, I'm giving my family leftovers. That's really how it was. But the stress and the pressure of those years of overworking myself, which a lot of it was driven by my choices within the traditional law system, coupled with starting a business, coupled with the pressures and the drains of going through a business, starting a business during a pandemic. We started 6 months before the pandemic started. All of that caught up with me, and I almost didn't recognize myself. My wife was like, I don't really know that I know this version of you. And I got into therapy, and I worked that really hard for a year. And it was such a formative experience in my life. It's given me a much deeper appreciation for the central role that mental health plays in being a really good human, and the empathy that we need to have for others when we're interacting with them, and they're behaving in a way that we don't like or we don't understand should give us pause to try to ask the question, what happened to you? What's going on? To think deeper below the surface so that we can act with more empathy. But then as we design our businesses in a way that best reflects who we are as people and our core values, to really think about how we help model this as leaders. I've tried to be very transparent with our team about my personal struggles and what I've done to do it. And when I have times come up where I feel like I'm reaching an edge of burnout or where I feel like somebody else is, we just have a very transparent culture around it. We want to normalize discussions around people making healthy choices and remove the stigma that so often accompanies things like mental health. You wouldn't treat somebody as lesser because they needed to go see a doctor because they had some physical ailment.
Right.
Why would it be any different with mental health? That's just one other dimension of our overall health and wellness as human beings.